What do you do when you can't leave a difficult environment, but you also can't bear to stay the same inside of it? In the last episode, we talked about how to survive a challenging environment with a father or father figure when you cannot leave, how to operate like Daniel, how to serve wisely, and how not to compromise your values. But survival is only half of the journey. Because even when your surroundings cannot change yet, your mind can, your perspective can, your internal world can, your spiritual atmosphere can. Sometimes God changes our environment, other times He changes us within the environment. And the verse that captures this best is Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beloved. I'm Cherise Rochelle. Today's episode is about renewing your mind when your reality has not changed. It's about experiencing inner freedom before outer freedom. It's about finding joy, peace, and stability within yourself and in God, even when the person causing the wound is still present. Has your mind been affected by the environment? Do you brace yourself emotionally when they enter the room? Do you rehearse painful memories or harsh words? Do you feel small, powerless, or voiceless? Do you feel responsible for managing their emotions? Do you try to predict their reactions to avoid being hurt? Have you lost parts of who you were? Confidence, joy, lightness? Do you live in survival mode instead of purpose? Do you carry dread instead of delight? These signs do not mean that you're weak. They mean you've been in a chronic battle, which is why renewing the mind is necessary. Here are a couple biblical perspectives, starting with a breakdown of Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world. The patterns in this context include learned fear, people-pleasing, hypervigilance, internalized shame, emotional suppression, survival responses, the belief that you deserve mistreatment, or generational patterns of dysfunction. When you grow up or live under a wounded father or father figure, you can unintentionally absorb the environment. You start to think like the place that hurt you. Paul says, don't conform. Don't fit into that shape. Do not let their dysfunction become your identity. You are not required to become what wounded you, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewing equals replacing lies with truth, replacing fear with discernment, replacing survival mode with God's peace, replacing I'm trapped with I'm not abandoned, replacing I have to keep quiet to be safe with God gives me wisdom and voice, replacing shame with dignity, replacing bitterness with boundaries. Transformation starts inside. Your external environment does not need permission for your internal freedom to begin. Here's a biblical example from Paul and Silas of inner freedom in an outer prison. When we talk about renewing your mind in a place you cannot leave, Paul and Silas are the perfect biblical example. In Acts chapter 16, verses 16 to 40, they were falsely accused, beaten publicly, humiliated, shackled in the deepest part of the prison. And yet, instead of collapsing under despair, fear, or anger, they sang, they worshipped, they prayed. They carried internal freedom even while locked in an external prison. Here's what their mindset teaches us. They trusted God's sovereignty, not the situation. Even when everything looked unjust, painful, and hopeless, they believed God is still in control here. Their external reality did not rewrite their understanding of God's goodness or authority. This is mental renewal, Letting truth reshape your perspective instead of letting circumstances shape your faith. They focused on God more than the pain. They were beaten, bleeding, bruised, yet their focus shifted upward, not inward. Instead of meditating on the unfairness, the suffering, the humiliation, or the hopelessness, they fixed their minds on God's presence, power, and worthiness. This is Romans chapter 12, verse 2 in action. Refusing to conform to circumstance-driven thinking. They were anchored in God's presence. They were not alone in the prison. They felt God there. Their worship was not denial. It was awareness. God is with us even here. That awareness creates inner strength, inner calm, and inner safety, even when the environment is anything but safe. They held on to hope in God's deliverance. Their joy came from salvation, not circumstances, from eternal security, not earthly comfort. This kind of hope makes suffering temporary, not defining. It shifts the weight off the pain and onto the promise. They saw purpose in their suffering. They believed that even here, God can use us, and He did. Their worship shook the prison. Their mindset freed not only themselves, but every prisoner around them. The jailer came to Christ because of their posture. Their suffering produced ministry. Their prison created a platform, and their endurance became a testimony. They show us that joy begins inside you, not around you. Freedom is a mindset before it is a circumstance. Your environment does not dictate your spiritual atmosphere. Mental renewal creates spiritual authority even in painful places. You can carry God's presence into the same environment that wounded you. And transformation happens internally before it manifests externally. Just like them, you may feel imprisoned in a difficult father or father figure situation that you cannot escape. But like them, you can still choose praise over panic, hope over despair, truth over lies, presence over fear, and renewal over conformity. This is how inner freedom begins. So how does renewal work when you cannot leave just yet? 1. God reshapes your inner world before your outer world shifts. Daniel lived among hostile values but wasn't shaped by them. He carried peace within Babylon. That's renewal. 2. Freedom becomes a mindset before it becomes a circumstance. You stop acting like a prisoner even if you feel confined. You stop internalizing the father wound even if he never apologizes. 3. You stop absorbing their behavior into your identity. Their cruelty does not define your worth. Their instability does not define your safety. Their silence does not define your belonging. And their lack of love does not define your lovability. Renewal separates what they did from who you are. 4. You learn to think from God's truth instead of your environment's pain. What God says becomes louder than what the father figure does. 5. You begin living from purpose instead of reaction. You do not react to them. You respond to God. What practical steps can we take to renew our minds in a hard environment? 1. We need to feed our minds with truth daily. Scripture replaces the internal narrative shaped by wounds. We begin seeing ourselves how God sees us. 2. Using mental boundaries. Not every single thought deserves access. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 5 reminds us to bring every thought into captivity, meaning to control your mind, challenge negative or false thoughts, and align your thinking with God's truth and teachings. Making your mind obedient to God rather than letting rebellious thoughts take over. It's about actively filtering your thoughts and replacing lies with scripture and ensuring that your mindset serves God's purposes. 3, separate their behavior from your identity. What they do equals their brokenness. Your response equals your healing. God's truth equals your identity. 4, choose peace intentionally. Peace is not passive. Peace is a decision you make again and again. You can hold peace even when others hold chaos. 5, focus on God, not the dysfunction. Colossians chapter 3 verse 2 says, set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. When you shift your gaze, you shift your internal world. 6, question limiting beliefs. I can't survive this becomes God is sustaining me. I'm powerless becomes I have authority in my mind and spirit. Nothing will ever change becomes God can build me in hard places. 7, let God rewrite the story in your mind. Not the story of what happened, but the story of what it will mean for your future. Here are today's reflection or journaling prompts. What thoughts have I absorbed from this environment that do not align with God's truth? In what ways have I been conforming to the patterns that hurt me? What beliefs about myself come from wounds, not God? What would it look like to experience internal freedom while still in this situation? What truths do I need to rehearse daily to rewire my thinking? Today's affirmation is, my mind is not a prisoner to my environment. I am being renewed, restored, and transformed. I refuse to conform to the pain that shaped me. God is rewriting my thinking, restoring my identity, and building freedom within me even here. Today's key verse is taken from Romans chapter 12, verse 2, which says, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You may not be free to leave yet, but you are free to think differently. You are free to believe differently. You're free to heal, to grow, shift, and flourish internally. You are free to break generational patterns in your mind before you break them in your life. Internal freedom is not the consolation prize. It is the beginning of transformation. When your mind changes, your life eventually flows. That's all for today's episode. I hope that it was encouraging. Do not forget that you can find the written version of each episode with the Bible verses and the prompts for journaling and reflection on my Substack. And if you would like the episodes emailed directly to you, don't forget to subscribe on Substack. You can also listen on YouTube or on all the major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts, depending on where you're listening from. So that's all for now. Until next time, stay rooted in truth, wrapped in grace, and never forget you are beloved.